So we went into this knowing that this Sri Lanka South Africa series is absolutely a must win. A vital series to ensure that we get to the final of the World Test Championship, and it started off in Kingsmead with the day of basically just rain. 20 overs and 4 balls were all that was played. Not much to learn from it, but today we're going to give you our views so far after day one and a bit of a prediction going forward into the rest of the series. We'll keep it fairly short, but hopefully give you enough insight into South Africa versus Sri Lanka, the Test Series.
Yeah, I think we spoke about this before, that Sri Lanka have been playing some pretty good, consistent Test cricket, in the sense that if you underestimate them, you may have a problem. Unfortunately, we had rain, 80 for 4 in the first day. South Africa, I think Sri Lanka are asking some questions now.
Yeah, like Kum said, Sri Lanka's been playing some good cricket recently. I think going into the series, we probably thought it was their batting lineup that was going to do the business, but the bowlers have stepped up. Kumara, his first over wasn't that great, but he came back and picked up those 2 important wickets. Again, Markram is someone that we can't stop talking about him because we know how important it is to that lineup. But he's just poor form. I think it might come down. Well, it depends on how it goes in the second innings. Might come down to a point of where we give him a break and see what happens. Hopefully, he gets back to good form. But yeah, it was tough start for South Africa, but we're fighting back with Temba, which is good to see.
Yeah, well, Temba should also be gone. He got dropped on one, got out of a no ball, but anyway, he's fighting back. What I would say is that when the lineups came out, I was quite happy with the bowling attack. I was like, okay, this bowling attack looks balanced. We can take wickets. We can clean Sri Lanka up. But like Divi is saying, we were more concerned about Sri Lanka's batting than the bowling. But what that bowling lineup does do is it extends the tail a bit because we put Janssen and we now could see his batting prowess in the one-day game or in the white ball game. So I believe that he can also hold a bat. Whereas previously Kesh was batting at 8, he's now at 10. So we do bat a bit deeper. So I think if we can get out of this with a score somewhere around 200, I think we can do well. Weather permitting, I think the bowlers can do the job. So I still think that even though it looks bad at the moment, I still think we can win this test match.
I reckon Kesh is batting at 11 in this test match. I think
guys, for all the bad things we said about Kesh, in the test scene, he'll do fine. The problem is white ball when he can't rotate the strike and he starts panicking.
No, what are you talking about? He's on like 4 ducks.
He's on his 5th one now.
Yeah, but it's fine. I think I have a bit more confidence in Kesh. If you've got someone like bavuma or Janssen, or even Verena on the other end, Kesh will hold up on him.
Kesh is 1 duck away from being a world record holder.
He's
a man a chance, man.
He's not giving himself a chance the way he's been batting recently.
But see that this is a good problem to have. Asking ourselves whether Kesh bats at 10 or 11 means we bat quite deep.
Yeah.
Deeper than the last few series. So I think that's positive.
What do you guys think about the series? You think it's going to be a high-scoring series or probably more of a low-scoring series where 220 is going to be a big score?
I think first we need to have a series. I think the rain needs to stop because it was pelting today. So let's just hope we can get a result from this game. What are the repercussions? I'm just asking. If the series is drawn, what happens? Where does that leave South Africa?
We still know the chance, but we need to win both against Pakistan. If we win 3 out of 4, we are more than likely to make the World Test Championship final. On your thing about the weather, though, yeah, I don't think it holds too much promise. We said this, or we spoke about this in one of our previous little Proteas chats, and we said that the weather is going to be a big part, both in Kingsmead and down here in PE. It's raining at the moment, for context. It's pouring. Kuv heard it when he first jumped onto the stream, absolutely bucketing. So I don't hold too much hope in that sense. But the bigger thing is that coastal cities, lots of swing. We've seen how South Africans haven't dealt well with any bit of lateral movement on day one. Fair enough, it's just one session. They didn't get to play through the new ball and get a softer ball going in the second session where they possibly could have scored a bit more. But I think worrying signs, even though it's still so early, worrying signs. On Divi's thing, think we're looking at a lot of low scores, and it's going to come down to who's able to face up to a good bowling attack better.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I don't think
agree
we're
as
going to
well.
get
You're
many
playing
scores past 250 in the series.
same. You're playing a two coastal series.
I think it's going to be a series where batsmen are never going to be in.
You could get the case of this, as you just spoke about, having an extended tail now. Those lower order batsmen might come into play very heavily with an older ball. If they can deal with Prabhat Jayasuriya's spin, which is going to be difficult in its own way. He doesn't turn the ball a lot, but we've seen what happens with South Africans against spinners that don't turn the ball a lot. That boy the other day in the Indian Test T20 series absolutely moved us. So I think we might have a bit of a problem. But if Verena and Mulder can come right, we probably will get a few more runs. Maybe we'll rock up with a 300, similar to what happened against Bangladesh, where it just petered over and over and over, and they scrounged up a score eventually.
If you look at today's play, we scored 80 runs. Of that 80 runs, there were 14 boundaries. Of that, there were probably like 7 edged boundaries through the slips. So batting was difficult, and it's just going to be so difficult to actually score consistent runs through the series.
One thing, South Africa, doesn't matter how bad the team is, we've always had a strong bowling lineup, and this is it's the same situation now where our batting lineup lacks confidence, and the way we set our wickets up at home, it does our batters, no favors. They're always going in on the back foot. It's all about survival, and if you're not scoring runs on flat wickets, there's no way we're gonna get a lot of runs in South Africa. We don't do a lot of favors. I mean, we will probably take wickets on most pitches. There's no reason to set these things up as seamer friendly, massive pace and carry and stuff like that. That just works against us, I think, in most circumstances. So I don't understand the tactics from the groundsman, and obviously it was probably a directive from management to the groundsman, but it doesn't do us any favors, and it's we can see it already, 80 for 4.
No, I agree. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I have more faith that we can beat Pakistan than Sri Lanka on the
I
past
agree.
series.
I agree. We just start setting up some roads there, and then hopefully we can.
I think we are going to Centurion at some point, right, with Pakistan. So that should
yes.
be
So hopefully, I think if I'm not mistaken, Cape Town Centurion, something similar. So probably a little bit better, but flatter. You guys are picking on a very important thing. It's the same with the Pakistan side. I know this is a Sri Lanka series, but since we're talking about this kind of in unison, they have traditionally struggled on roads, even though they play on roads all the time. Their bowling attack, that is. Their bowlers tend to do a lot better outside Pakistan for the same reason, and they probably will excel if we brought them to the same pitches. Likewise, Divi mentioned in the previous time that we spoke about the Sri Lankan attack that this was going to be a problem, and we're already seeing it. We're seeing that bowlers that aren't in the limelight or at the forefront of the success of that Sri Lankan team in recent times, they come onto our pitches, and why on earth are we doing it? Going along with what he said there, we've got a very good bowling attack in Test cricket at least, and I would think that any pitch should be good enough for us to get 20 wickets in a test.
100%. So, on this year, if Angelo Matthews can bowl 2 overs, 2 maidens, what will Shaheen Shah do to us? Murder us.
No, I mean, look at what Pakistan did in Australia. It's the same thing, right? You go to Pakistan, England were there, and it looked like, oh my word, the bowlers were being hit all over the park, all getting centuries. Then they go to Australia, and it speaks to your point. They're world-class bowlers.
Yeah,
and they showed that.
So it looks a little bit ominous, but I think we're gonna give the boys the benefit of the doubt. After a few more sessions of play, hopefully that we get without any rain, we'll hopefully see a little bit more proper cricket. Maybe Temba and Verena come right. I think Verena's looked fairly assured at the start of his innings. Maybe he comes right with Temba, and they build something for Mulder and your Janssen and your Gerald and your Abada and even our guy, Keshav Miraj, to get a few more runs on the board. I think if we get close to 250, we're already okay. Because, as I said, it's not going to be a high-scoring test match. Hope the rain stays away. Now, predictions for this first test. On the back of this fairly poor start, do you think we can still win the test?
100%.
100%.
We've got to back our bowlers. Got to back our bowlers. Whatever their bowlers can do, we must believe that our bowlers can do it better. So
100%. Yeah, we just need the batters to give the bowlers something to bowl at. I think anything over 200 in the first innings, you'll take with both hands, and then try and roll Sri Lanka out cheaply and get a few more in the second and rough them up and again towards the end. So I looked at the weather. The weather looks okay, not great, but it looks okay for the next 4 days. So hopefully we'll get a lot of cricket.
I think if
I
we
don't think
get
the
three
pitch
and a
will
half
be
days of play, I think that's enough for a result.
Yeah, well, looking at how South Africa's been playing recently, I mean, 4 days is too much.
I think it's spot on there. Then beyond that, so we're of the belief that we're still going to win the test. If for some reason Aiden Markram fails in the second innings, we drop him for Ryan Rickleton or not?
Yes, 100%.
No,
I know
man.
we think it should be done, but whether it will be done is a different question. I don't think it will
No,
happen,
man.
but maybe it should.
Yeah, but look, it's not just for us making it to the Test Championship. It's for his own personal development as well. If you keep going
Yeah.
and doing the same stuff over and over and over in Test conditions, you're never going to have the opportunity to try new things. I mean, it is cricket season in the Southern Hemisphere, so you'll have an opportunity to go back and play domestic cricket, to go back and work on a few things with his own personal coaches. I don't know how much influence they have while they're within the South African setup, but I mean, it gives him a lot more opportunity to focus on himself. And once he's in this team, he's a senior player. He's obviously got to help players around him. I mean, he's batting with Tony DeZorzi and then Tristan Stubbs at 3. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of experience around him. So he is kind of the glue that's supposed to hold that batting lineup together. And if he's not in good form, you're not doing anyone any favors by keeping him in the side.
Combs,
Do you think it's an option to swap him and Temba? Make him bat at 4, Temba to open?
I still think that's a problem. Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good option.
So that for me is still a bigger problem. You need Markram and Stubbs coming after him, and they should not be 1 and 3. They need to be 3 and 4, 4 and 5.
I can agree with that as well.
Agreed.
But I mean, at the end of the day, what you're doing now all you're doing is just shielding him from new ball, and that's.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be like that, man. I mean,
100%.
everyone made the comment as well. Markram does it the other way around. He opens the batting in Test and bats number 4 in the shorter format of the game. No one does that. It's normally the other way around.
Right.
You would open in the shorter format and bat 5, 6 in the Test. So if you're shielding him from a swinging ball, a white ball that swings for 4 overs,
Yeah.
the red ball swings. That thing goes, bro. You should really be shielding him from that.
And I think most of his dismissals in recent times have been edged off to the keeper, to the slips. He gets done by one coming back in every so often, but not many LBW dismissals or anything of the sort. It's usually nick-offs, going on the drive or playing a little bit away from the body. We've said this repeatedly, and I honestly don't want to be harping on about Markram again, but the obvious, very simple solution is give the guy the time away from cricket. Let him find himself and come back. All this is doing is generating a bunch of toxicity among South African fans. We've said this as well in the past. There's a clear divide. You either support Bavuma or Markram. You can't support both. If you do support both, the world might end. That's basically how it seems. So I think get him out. Let them roll with what's there. There's options to bring in his place. Rickleton being one of them. There's also Matthew Brietska and a few others. Let's see what happens. I hope that he comes right in the second innings. But if he doesn't, I also think that cut ties for now, drop him, bring him back at some point in the future. And I think if you do drop him, he probably misses the Pakistan series as well.
Let's see what happens.
Well, I mean,
it's all on him.
Does nothing,
I guess.
Anyways.
Do you think he should be the one that puts his hand up and says, "Guys, let me just step away for a while"?
I think that's what a proper leader
What
will
about
do.
that scenario?
I thought about this, right? But I thought about this. 20 years ago, I think cricket players had the power to do that. If Sangha put his hand up and says, "Guys, I want a 5-month break," or De Villiers did that, they would give him that. In this day and age, with the amount of competition, I don't think it's safe for a player to. I don't think any player has that amount of security, aside from Virat Kohli, maybe Rohit Sharma, to put their hands up and say, "Guys, I want a 5-month break." or put yourself in Markram's shoes. Would you do that? What if Ricketson comes and performs, and then suddenly you're out of the team for 3 years?
There's that, and there's also, I think it's just the optics of it from like a supporter perspective. You take 5 months off and then you straight into the IPL. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? Like, then the guys are like, well, so clearly you just don't want to play international cricket then. You don't want to play for your country, but to play for the money.
Like
So,
Marco Janssen, we made those comments
so like
about
things
it.
like that, you see? So,
Yeah.
But then he comes back, and the answer comes back. He puts in performances, and he shows his worth. That's the other end of the coin.
That's
No, sure. It
that's
worked,
very
yeah.
true. If he does that, then I guess no one's going to complain. They're going to complain when it doesn't really matter, and then when he does come back and if he could kill it, that would be great. I think the key though is, despite everything that Marco Janssen did, like he went to America and played in Canada and all of that, he still did work behind the scenes, dedicated work to fixing problems, and you can see it. Markram can't just go about, I'm going to play other T20 leagues and not... Look, this is not a new problem, this Aiden Markram issue. He's been in pretty poor form across the board for 2 years, maybe longer. Like, when you actually think about that, it's ridiculous that
Seems
we're
like
even having this conversation.
Seems like he belongs in that Australian batting lineup.
And funnily enough, they rate him quite highly. Like the Australians rate Markram like really high. But no, you're right. The last innings I can remember him playing was that fastest 100 jobby where he really,
World Cup, yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, it just never...
2023.
Yeah, you never saw anything after that from Markram. You're right.
We are...
And that was a pressureless situation.
Yeah, literally.
It was in a group stage match.
Yeah,
so as much as we want him to perform, I think you have to be a bit realistic. It hasn't been great for some time, and I don't think it's doing him any favors by sort of showing faith in him. I think he's lost faith in himself. No, he's batted. Anyway, Aiden Markram and all of that aside, going into the Sri Lankan batting just briefly before we end this chat, what do we think? Do we think they're going to perform better on these wickets? Do you think they're going to deal with the different conditions from home conditions? Are they going to be able to put up with that pace attack?
Time will tell. We just got to see what they do in the first innings when they get a chance to bat. Because we know they've been putting up good scores all over the world. Let's see how they handle it. If they come out and bat well, then I think South Africa are in trouble. If they come and handle the pace attack, because we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what's happening behind their scenes.
Yeah.
We don't know what work they've put in. We don't know what mentality they have. We don't know what they're going to be trying to do. And if it is in conflict with what we're trying to do, and they come off better in the first innings, then I'm afraid that the South African team's confidence is not high enough to be able to handle that. If they have to come out and put up a 300 plus score, it might have a ripple effect.
Yeah, I also think so. Quite fragile confidence, which will probably... It doesn't take much to sink most of those lads. They're all fairly young into their careers, apart from maybe KG Cash and Temba, and we all know that there's nothing in the world that could knock Temba's confidence. If there's one thing that man has, it's confidence in his own abilities. I mean, he's believed that he belongs in the side for as long as he's been there. And kudos to him, because you can't be... personal opinion, I don't think you can be an elite sportsman without a little bit of cockiness behind it. So good on him. I think that if anyone in this top order find some form, it'll probably be one of the older heads. Chanimal, yeah?
Let's ask this question then. Both teams batting lineup, top 5 batsmen. How many South Africans and how many Sri Lankans in the top 5 amongst both squads?
based on
form and what we think they're capable of.
I think just Stubbs is probably the only one that gets into the top 5, personally.
I agree.
I would choose, yeah.
Even Bedingham, we know what he's capable of. He just hasn't done it. Desiree puts in some performances here and there. But I think max, it's 2 South Africans, probably only 1.
No, it's Stubbs for me too. Only Stubbs.
Yeah. Max, you're including Desiree on decent recent form, but
there's the problem.
Yeah, but then who are you dropping from the other side, right? So if you look at their top 5, you can't take on more than 2.
Haven't batted, so we don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
We're going on what we think the pitch conditions are going to be like, and the fact that we have a better bowling lineup now, but we never know. we have to wait for
No,
them to
100%.
bat?
I think it's spot on. It's spot on. We out and out probably have the better bowling lineup, right? That we know. But that your question points out all the deficits here. A top order that has persistently failed, and as much as we've tried to play everyone back into form, it's been a pretty long time trying to play everyone back into form against Bangladesh, and we've seen how bad they are at cricket in recent times. I think that unless they perform here, yeah, we got problems. Okay, so that answers a lot of the questions. We think that Sri Lanka really have a shot, and we'll be able to obviously make a more informed decision on what's going to happen in the second test after the rest of this one. We're going to have to see them bat. These are not the conditions that both teams have played on in recent times. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. We hope that we get decent weather and all of that. We all think that we're going to win this first test, and obviously we all hope that we're going to win the series as a whole. If you are a Sri Lankan fan or a South African fan and you have a different prediction or a different thought on how things are going to work out here, drop us a comment. You can find us on all the audio platforms and, of course, always here on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and obviously join us whenever you can. But until the next one, please take care. Don't forget to pour a shot.